All right, the unit that we're starting today, it's called ratios and proportions. A ratio is just a fraction that compares two amounts. We can write it in different ways. For example, we can just write it out 1 to 2. We can also use a colon to show the same ratio, 1 to 2. And then sometimes we use it as a fraction, like 1/2. That would be 1 to 2. And a proportion is just going to be an equation that sets two ratios equal. So the first things that you're going to be practicing are being able to tell if two ratios are equal, if the proportion is true. So to do that, you have to use something that's called the cross products property. And that property says that if you multiply the diagonals, the two products should be equal for the proportion to be true. So I'm going to check that for those two equations that I have, those two proportions. So I'm going to multiply a diagonal, doesn't matter which one, so I'm going to take this one first. So this is my diagonal. I'm going to multiply those two numbers. 3 times 12, that's 36. Now I'm going to check the second diagonal, this one. So 4 times 9, that's also 36. And so because those two products are equal, the proportion is true. That means they're equal to each other. So this, you would say yes, they're true. And second one, I'm going to do the same thing. You just multiply diagonals. So 5 times 12, that's 60. And then the 3 times 15, that one gives me 45. And so now they're not equal, so the proportion is not true. So I'm going to say no. So that's just what you do to check whether they're equal or not. But what we're practicing more are how to solve proportions. So pretty much just solving equations. And so for example 2, I have this proportion right here, but I'm going to follow the same method that I used in the first example. I have to multiply the diagonals. So I'm going to multiply 6 times 5. That gives me 30. So they have to be equal. So I'm going to multiply the second diagonal. Here's my second diagonal. X plus 1 times 3. So to write this, I'm going to put the 3 outside, and I'm going to open parentheses and put x plus 1 inside. I need parentheses because I have more than one term here. So that means 3 times x plus 1. And then from here, this is just like first semester, we're just solving this equation to get the value of x. So anytime you have parentheses, you want to multiply. So 3 times x, that gives me 3x. 3 times 1, that gives me 3. Now here just carry down the 30 and then get x by itself. So the x is on the right side, so I have to cancel those numbers on the right side. First I will cancel the constant, so this positive 3, opposite of plus, is minus. So I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. (30 minus 3 gave me 27, and then so now I gotta cancel that 3, so divide by 3 on both sides and I get my answer. So here I have x equals 9. Okay, so that's a pretty simple example. There's another example where now I have more than one term as a numerator on both sides. But the first step is the same. I have to multiply the diagonals. So first this diagonal, that's 4 times x plus 3. It has to be equal to your second diagonal. So that one, that's going to be 8 times x minus 2. And then, so same thing, same process, I'm just getting x by itself. Have parentheses on both sides now, so I have to distribute on both sides. So 4 times 6 and 4 times 3. That's 4x plus 12. 8 times x is 8x. 8 times negative 2 is negative 16. I'm gonna get rid of the x's on the right side, so I'm gonna subtract 8x from both sides. Carry down the 12 and carry down this negative 16 up here. So on this problem, my x value is on the left side, so now I gotta cancel the numbers that are on the left side. Again, first I have to cancel the constant, so that would be the 12. And again, opposite of plus is minus. So I'm gonna do minus 12. Negative 16 minus 12, that's negative 28. And then so to get rid of that negative 4, I divide by negative 4 on both sides. And so my answer is positive 7. There's one more example that I want to work out, just because I want to refresh your memory on how to do exponents or squares. So those are the first 3 examples. Last example, it's a lot easier, just to refresh your memory. Now I have x times x. I just want to remind you that's x squared. So whenever I do this diagonal, x times x, that's x squared. And then the second diagonal, 2 times 8, that's 16. So they should equal each other. So now I have x squared equals 16, and then remember, to get rid of that exponent, you do the square root. Opposite of a square, this is the square root. So I do square root, and it cancels that, and I gotta do it to both sides. So now I have x equals positive and negative 4. Remember, anytime you take a square root, you always have 2 answers. You have to put your plus and minus signs to show your 2 answers.